What's up, guys? CJ here, and welcome back to another all-new episode of the Hybrid TV podcast. I'm joined by Nick.
What's up, guys?
And Aaron.
Hello.
Do we want to jump over to the other major sci-fi franchise and talk about a little TV show that's coming there? Star Wars. Star Wars. So while the movies might be kind of like hitting a little bit of a stumbling block for Star Wars, which is a topic of discussion for another podcast, I guess, the TV side is kind of actually kicking off a little bit more with this new live-action series that's coming to Disney Plus, Jon Favreau's The Mandalorian. What do you guys make of that show in general? We've never really talked about it before because we didn't have, like, it was announced, and I guess we talked about it, like, a little bit with the rumors before the show, before HNTV kind of took a hiatus, but now that it's back, we haven't talked about any of the new updates. Are you guys excited? What's your barometer right now on that?
I don't know too much about it, so I can't really say I'm exactly excited. I need to see a trailer first, I think. But from everything I have seen about it and have heard about it, I'm pretty excited. The cast looks really cool, and that set photo was really awesome. I'm just curious what the tone's going to be. It's going to be the first thing that's like live action series that has nothing to do with the events of the main sort of Skywalker story, you know? So yeah. I'm curious.
It needs to be like 1313.
So that's like, that would be really interesting if they do something like that, where he's just kind of like a bounty hunter traveling the galaxy. Maybe we'll talk a little bit about that in just a second. But yeah, no, it's really interesting because it's one of those things where I think seeing is believing so much of the time, and like even though we're hearing this is happening, and the cast looks incredible. I mean, they've got like Nick Nolte, Werner Herzog, Gina Carano, Pedro Pascal in a major role as the Mandalorian, along with some other incredible actors as well. You know, Taika Waititi is directing an episode. We got Jon Favreau, Dave Filoni, I think, is also directing an episode. What's her face? Bryce Dallas Howard is directing an episode as well. You know, there are a lot of great people involved, and the show's got like $100 million budget, so there's like movie level money involved. So it should look great. But it's one of those things where until it all kind of comes together in a trailer, like you said, I don't know that I'd believe it. What do you guys make of the cast? Like, it's an all-star lineup.
It's good.
Yeah, Pedro Pascal, absolutely. Like, to me, is a perfect casting for that role. But it's going to be...
Yeah, he's perfect for Mandalorian. He's supposed to be from Mandalore, right? The planet or something? Or...
I think so. I think he's... I haven't exactly kind of like heard how exactly he ties into that culture, but I think they did say the earliest rumors, which seem to be correct from Making Star Wars, because Making Star Wars has their finger on the pulse, as always. They've been really spot on recently, but especially with this series, they were saying that it's going to be about like restoring Mandalorian culture and like sort of this battle within the Mandalorian people who are kind of like scattered across the galaxy. To reclaim the honor, which is something that, who knows, might tie into the sequel movies a little bit.
Yeah,
we know in the EU, Boba united the clans sometime after Return of the Jedi and became Mandalore. It'd be interesting to see if that's like a story arc for Pedro Pascal's character, or potentially Boba already has united the clans and become Mandalore. We don't even know if Boba Fett's alive. It's in this new universe. That's never been confirmed. As far as we know, he's still stuck in the pit. But it's really interesting. So the news that we've got to talk about, why we're talking about that today, not just because it's something that we haven't talked about yet, although that's as good a reason as any. Disney Plus is coming out someday. It'll be released. Might be released this year, might be released early next year, but they're going to be showing off the very first look at Disney Plus, according to Variety's digital editor Todd Spangler. They're going to be showing that off to Disney investors, on April 11th. So a few months away, but they'll give a look at the UI, a look at some of the shows that are coming out and being prepared. And that means we'll probably get a look at some of the Marvel series that are in development, potentially the Loki series, which seems to be the farthest along, maybe the Winter Soldier series as well, or the Winter Soldier or Falcon series, potentially. But it'll also give us a look at the Mandalorian, and it definitely seems many people are speculating that means that we're going to see some first footage from the Mandalorian at this event, seeing as the show will be done filming by then, as far as we know. It's also probably going to, like I said, we're probably going to see some other content, but April 11th seems to be the day, and it'll be interesting to see. We might get a trailer like very shortly after that. potentially if they're ready for that. But it is a huge something to look forward to over the next couple of months. Any thoughts on that, on the wait, I guess, for April? And when do you think we might actually see the show debut?
Probably this year, I think. Weren't they saying they're trying to launch it in like fall or something? Or
Yeah, that'd be great. I mean, if they can get it going by like September or October.
How special effects heavy it's gonna be? Is it gonna be very grounded, or is it gonna be like very like fantastical with like the fight scenes and stuff? That's what I'm very curious about.
Well, Making Star Wars posted some. They posted some information and set photos, and it looks like the set photos make it look like it's going to be very practical. There's not going to be a ton of green screen. They're doing a lot on location, but at the same time, from what we're hearing, like the special effects are going to be kind of ridiculous. Like there's some technology, like movie level special effects. There's some technologies that are being used for like mocap characters that's apparently like ridiculous. Like suits that are actually like real practical suits that are being made to like move, like mapping somebody's face and like the suit is moving, and it's kind of insane. What we're hearing, that that might be characters like Werner Herzog and Nick Nolte. They're not actually going to have physical roles, but they'll be playing characters that are going to be a mix of practical effects and CGI. Yeah,
that's awesome.
But on that note, we do actually have a little bit of a leak, some leaks, some potential spoilers for The Mandalorian here. So
major spoilers.
Major spoilers. As far as we've been told, like we've asked a couple of people about this, there was some other information in the link that was corroborated by our sources here at HN. And while we couldn't corroborate the Mandalorian stuff directly, it does sound very much in line with what we've been hearing from other outlets like Making Star Wars. And if the other information in the report was correct, there's a really, really good chance that this is correct as well. So if you don't want to be spoiled, click away now. Give them a couple seconds here to click away. Pause for edit. No. So The Mandalorian. So this is straight from this leak. It comes to us from 4chan. It was a major leak that, like we said, had some accurate information in it that we can confirm. So the episodes in The Mandalorian are going to be standalone, aside from the first and last episode, 1 and 8. And the entire series chronicles the Mandalorian's adventures and activities in the Outer Rim. They do confirm here that the show does take place sometime after the events of Return of the Jedi and the fall of the Empire. And I don't know if they mention it here, but basically this is important. Like it's sometime after the fall of the Empire, but in the Outer Rim, there's still some remnants of the Empire, and for some people, life hasn't changed that much, and they may not even know that the Empire has fallen. Pedro Pascal, Gina Carano, Omid Abtahi, and Giancarlo Esposito are the only recurring characters in the series. Everyone else is in one episode only as a person of interest in the Mandalorian's current mission, which is probably going to be laid out in episode 1 and potentially wrapped up in episode 8. Pascal is playing the Mandalorian, whose real name is never revealed, although he's referred to as Dax. Carano is a rival bounty hunter, Lyssa, who wants revenge against the Mandalorian for the death of her family, so she's going to be probably the primary antagonist for Pedro Pascal. Abtahi is an engineer named Galk, who frequently helps the Mandalorian, while Esposito is the mobster Grath, who frequently employs the Mandalorian and ultimately double-crosses them, which, I mean, Giancarlo Esposito, he's going to play a character that's going to double-cross you, if anything. He also orders Lyssa's family's death and ultimately kills Galk, and in the final episodes, the Mandalorian and Lyssa have to join forces against him. So it's one of those things where it's like, hey, two antagonists, but ultimately it's revealed that one was behind it all along. Sort of like Glass, from what we understand.
Oh, God.
They also confirmed that Nick Nolte and Werner Herzog only have voice acting roles. Like we said, they're going to be playing CGI characters. There was a rumor that Nick Nolte's playing an Ugnaught, which I really, really hope is true. And then Carl Weathers plays a political leader targeted for assassination, while Emily Swallen plays the kidnapped daughter of a crime lord. So it definitely sounds really interesting. It sounds like it might be... It does really... Nick, you brought up 1313. It sounds very video game-esque, where it's like there's this story, this main story that he's on, but there are a lot of other side quests that he's doing that somehow are going to all come back and cross into the main story. What do you make of this? Like, what's the biggest takeaway that you have from this leak?
I guess the character confirmations and stuff. I wasn't actually expecting Carl Weathers to be some kind of like... what is he playing? Like a...
political leader.
Yeah, I thought he would actually be like some kind of like mercenary or something. But I mean, he's kind of older, so I guess it makes sense.
I was thinking like an aged kind of mercenary as well, like maybe like an old bounty hunter, potentially. But if he's a political leader, that's really interesting as well. But I mean, get good old Apollo in there.
Well, he needs to be Dylan.
Dylan.
He'd be like that handshake.
You son of a bitch. The best. It'll be interesting to see if he kind of plays like. We know Dylan kind of double crossed as well. It'll be interesting to see if Carl Weathers kind of double crosses the Mandalorian. And then even in that character, targeted for assassination, is the Mandalorian trying to pull that off, or is he trying to protect him? There's still a lot of interesting things here. What about you, Aaron? What do you make of this? What's the biggest takeaway for you from this leak?
The biggest takeaway is, damn, there's a lot of stuff that happened in the show.
Yeah. There's a ton.
Jeez.
You just got all the spoilers, y'all.
Oh yeah, we revealed everything. Everyone is spoiled now.
Everyone's spoiled. You don't know if Fury's going to show up at the end or not yet, but
he is. He's going to talk to the Mandalorian about the Avengers Initiative.
The Avengers Initiative, but only be preceded by the Mandalorian getting his eyes popped out by the mountain. So,
there you go. He dies. That's the twist, guys. That's it.
No season 2.
No season 2. None. But yeah, it is really interesting to kind of like, again, like, this is, I would say this is really interesting because we got like a mix of spoilers. Basically, this is like a plot synopsis and the vaguest like overview of the entire show. But there's still, I think, plenty of twists and turns that are going to be revealed. But we do kind of seem to have a rough outline of the series. I personally, I had not seen that Giancarlo Esposito was in the show until I read this leak, and I'm even more excited now. He is a genius. The cast is really, really interesting because you've got like a mix of people that are like really acclaimed actors, and like Gina Carano, who's been in a couple movies, but kind of has not really made it on the TV side yet. But clearly, I mean, from what I understand, like, so we did an interview for Discussing Film, shouts out, with Omid Abtahi, who couldn't reveal anything about the show, but in talking about the cast, that was like the most interesting thing that he talked about, was that basically everybody in the show, every actor, was handpicked by Jon Favreau. It wasn't like an audition process. It was like everybody was like, I want you for this role. It's like Pedro Pascal was like the hand-picked choice to play the Mandalorian. Gina Carano was the hand-picked choice to play Alyssa. And when that happens, it's like, I mean, it either works or it doesn't. But I mean, I think there's a much better chance that it's like, he knows what he had in mind, and like, bam, that's what we're getting. But Giancarlo Esposito, of course, it's not a huge reach for him to play a mobster that double crosses people. You've seen Breaking Bad, but. I guess if that's, any other thoughts on The Mandalorian? I mean, the first look coming in April, we now kind of have an idea of what we might see. The production quality sounds like it's going to be insane. Is this like to me, this is enough for me to buy Disney Plus right here. But where do you sit right now in Disney Plus as a whole?
This is my most hyped Star Wars thing.
I know. Oh my God, me too.
No, I'm excited. It definitely makes me more interested in getting it as well. Because it's...
Yeah.
No, yeah, it's the first live-action Star Wars show, not to mention the other Marvel shows that are coming out. So Disney Plus is looking up and up. I'm just waiting for those prices and what the actual name of it.
Well,
how much
that
are
is
you
the
charging
name.
Disney?
Well,
No, it's not Disney streaming service. Come on now.
Disney Plus.
Disney Plus. Oh, that's the name.
Disney Plus. Disc Plus.
Disc Plus. All right.
Disc Plus.
Yeah.
Disc Plus.
All right, that works. Disc Plus.
Well, they said, it was Disney Play was the rumor for a while, and everybody was like, "Oh, Display." But I'm kind of glad it's not that. The price point for Disc Plus, we don't know. So they said it's going to be less than Netflix. I think Netflix just went up to $12.99, didn't it? So that gives them a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm personally going to guess $9.99. I mean, it really depends on what they want to do. Like if CBS All Access is their model, like if CBS All Access is their model, they'll have two tiers. Like one is going to be like a $4.99 or $5.99 with ads version, and then one's going to be like a $9.99 or $11.99 without ads version, which is kind of like what Hulu does too. But if it's something like Netflix where they're never going to have ads and it's just going to be one price, it's probably going to be closer to like a $9.99 thing. But Bob Iger was like very set in stone, like adamant. He was like, it's going to be less than Netflix.
Yeah.
which is like,
I heard him
Go,
say F
Bob.
Netflix at one
basically
point in the
did.
call too.
oh yeah, I believe
Yeah.
that he definitely, and that's the thing. It's like that's what makes Disney so dangerous as a company. Is like when you're that big and you have that big a library of content, and you're making so much money from other sources, you can take the hit and like make less money on one thing than you could just to undercut your competition. Which is why, like, I think a lot of people are worried about the merger, which is a valid debate. But it'll be interesting to see too, like when they fold the Fox stuff in, how much of that is going to be on Disney Plus, how much of that is going to be on Hulu, because Disney will own Hulu as well. Basically, they'll own like 70% of Hulu. But the landscape is changing, my friends. So, with that in mind, please drop us the one
So
in the
where
comment
can
section.
people follow y'all on social media?
Well,
Aaron?
if you want to find me, you can find me out under your bed, inside
no.
your.
What?
You can find me inside your local Starbucks bathroom. You can find me on the side of the road begging for money. But if you wanna find me on online though, you can find me at The Real Aaron Alexander on the Instagram.
All right.
Absolutely. You can find me
You
on
guys,
Twitter at CJ Pascal. You can find Nick. Where can they find you, Nick?
You guys can find me on Twitter and sometimes on Instagram at who's_Nick.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching, or I guess listening, depending on the various outlets that you may have enjoyed this ancient content from. That is going to do it for this episode of Hybrid TV. Be sure to check in next week for another brand new episode. Drop us a comment, or if you want to comment, drop us a question if you want that question answered. But for Aaron and Nick, this is CJ, and we'll see you next week.